Hello everyone, welcome back to Siddle's Pocats, welcome to Siddle's Pocats, and welcome to, reading plans for February, to be precise, because for some ungodly reason, people have decided that January is over now. I wasn't part of the decision-making here, and I don't like it, but regardless. So, sometimes I try to make TBRs for myself and then I don't stick to them, and sometimes a TBR is the only thing that gets me reading in a month. So we're going for a middle state here, which is I have a bunch of books on my lap here, in case you couldn't tell, that I would like to prioritize in February. If I read them or not, doesn't matter. Nothing matters, okay? The first step. But second of all, most of these, with the exception of one, are by Black authors, because February is Black History Month in the US, and I really like to use months like these as an excuse to get to some of the books on my TBR that have any correlation with what is currently going on. This is why I try to read mainly queer books in June, for example, going just through my TBR and seeing what fits and what doesn't. The reason I do this is mainly because my TBR is so huge that I need some sort of qualification system of what I might want to gravitate towards. So there's that. The second thing that you will see in a hot minute, but that I want to mention as well, is at the beginning of the year I made a sort of explanatory video of the abundant series on my TBR that I haven't picked up yet, or that I haven't finished yet, of which I have a couple. And I said that I want to try and prioritize these series partially because I don't like having them on my shelves, having not read them, not knowing anything about them, not knowing whether I should buy the next one in the series, whether I should save up for the next one in the series, or whether I should just not bother in the first place. And going forward, even though I will likely not make fully dedicated TBRs that I will 100% stick to, one rule of thumb is going to be that I would like to at least continue to work on, or continuously work on, a series in a month. Doesn't mean I have to finish the series. I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on me, especially because there's some series on here that do go into the double digits. Not all of them, but a couple. I don't want to pressure myself into finishing the series, but I do want to continuously make progress in the series project on my shelves. I will likely prioritize finished series first. Whether or not I have them completely is a different story. And I will likely gravitate towards the shorter ones first, simply because it will feel good to tick off a couple of trilogies, instead of going for the huge ones first. Alright, that's just simple math. But generally speaking, I want to make progress in at least one series every single month, and the progress can be whatever at this point. With all that being said, books! There's a couple of rereads on here, I think 3 to be precise, and there's not that many new authors on here, because some of these have massive backlogs, and it's not my fault that they write great stuff, okay? I just want everything of them forever. But we're starting off with the one book that is not from a Black author, the only one on this pile to be precise, and also the one that is one of the 3 rereads, and that would be On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. This was his debut, if I remember correctly, and it took the world by storm, including myself when I read it for the first time. The reason I want to reread this is because I am potentially thinking of making this topic, the topic of talking to your mother through text, specifically talking to her in a language that is not her own, and how that complicates things with the diaspora experience, but as well with the language and linguistic experience in general. I want to try making that into a topic for one of my 2 big papers that I have to write this year, because I think there might be a couple of good cases I could make there. Unfortunately, that does mean I will have to be talking about Derrida, which is going to kill me, but it might be worth it for this book alone. So I will be rereading this, and I will also be annotating it to some degree to try and figure out if it will fit for that specific topic. Maybe I'll share the annotations once I'm done, but they will not look pretty, because I don't do pretty annotations. Nevertheless, On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Option 1 for the TBR. This is also the one that I definitively want to read, and specifically within the first couple of days because I have a meeting with that professor. So this is a priority despite the fact that this is the only non-black author on this pile. Very sorry about that. Number 2, and probably the most stunning addition in this entire pile, is Son of the Morning by Akwaeke Emesi. This is the Illumicrate edition. Everyone take that in for a hot minute. They've outdone themselves, especially with, hold on, I need to, the Naked Hot, look at that. Look at her. Look at that. Oh my god, she's so gorgeous. This is the latest publication of Akwaeke Emesi. I have read almost their entire catalogue at this point, so unfortunately I have incredibly high hopes for this, which means this book is under quite a lot of pressure, and I do apologise for that. I'm very sorry. I don't know a whole lot about this, except for the fact that I do believe this is their first adult romantasy, specifically on the romantasy part, because Akwaeke Emesi doesn't really write romantasy, or hasn't until now. But their romance book is one of the few romance books I've given 5 stars to, so once again, the high hopes continue. I do believe this has polyamory, which is why there's 3 people on here, and I do believe every single person in the potential love interest situation is black, so this is a black romance, which, if I understood this correctly from other black content creators whom I'm very grateful for, means that every single member of the romantic relationship has to be black in order for it to count as a black romance. Fair enough. I don't know anything else about this. I think there's some sort of like magical... I think this is... Son of the Morning and the Wings makes me think of Lucifer, and I think that's also where we're going, like angels and demons and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I know it's urban fantasy, romantasy, potentially a polyamorous situation, and it's written by one of my favourite authors, so what could possibly go wrong? I'm really excited for this one. It's so pretty. This will not leave my house, as per usual, with basically every single one of my Illumicrate editions. But I'm so excited. I really hope this is not the first Akwaeke Emesi book that disappoints me. I'm scared, okay? I love their books. I really do. If this is not good, I'm gonna lose it. Anyway, moving on. First new author on this pile, and that would be Ground by Jadeline Gangbo. This is a black author from the UK. Important to mention here because, you know, the UK has a different Black History Month, which I do believe is set in October. So if you want to be, you know, completely about Black History Month in the US versus the UK, this should not be a pick for February. I got this from Jacaranda Books, which is a independent publisher that I really like to support. Situated in the UK, I do believe under black management and consistently pushing out black and otherwise marginalized voices, which I think is fantastic. I think this is about a family immigrating to the UK, and if I remember correctly, the author started writing this book when he was 14 years old, and I do believe it also kind of mirrors part of his own experience of being part of the diaspora, being part of immigration, because he moved to Italy first at the age of 4 with a couple of siblings, and then got situated in the UK, which I think is really interesting. This is one of the bigger books that I've seen from Jacaranda Books, because their books usually stay like around the 300-page mark, which I think is really cool. This one is over 500 pages, so it's quite a bit bigger. I have very little idea of what to expect, but I have seen people praise this book immensely, so I am very intrigued to find out what goes on in Ground. Next, we have my 2 series. Like I said, I want to make progress in at least one of these. I'm not going to force myself to finish both of them. We will just see what happens. The first one includes 2 rereads, and that would be the Magic of the Lost trilogy, starting with The Unbroken, and then going to The Faithless and The Sovereign by C.L. Clarke. I've read the first 2. And so these two will be my rereads, and then I have the third one, which I have never read before, which is also the conclusion of the trilogy. I'm really excited to finally finish this. This is going to be my last Sapphic Trifecta series that I will be concluding. I do believe it's also the one that concluded the last, so like, I think The Sovereign came out after Lotus Empire from Tasha Sori. I could be wrong, but I think that's the way it went. This is set in a sort of magically enhanced Algeria, if I remember correctly, and we have our main character Turenne, who was taken from her home country when she was really young and then turned into a soldier for the fictional France kingdom, essentially. And now, upon behest of, you know, being a soldier and being sent wherever she needs to be, she is sent back to her home country and now has to start dealing with the consequences of her entire existence, basically. The consequences of having been born from a colonized country, but then having been taken in by the colonizer, being brought up by the colonizer, and also inhabiting and just starting to embody certain ideals that the colonizer brings to the table. I'm intrigued to see how Seal Clock is gonna land this one, because I had some complaints in book 2, and book 2 also massively expanded the world, because in book 1 we were basically just set in that country, of which I've currently forgotten the name, because it's been a while since I last read this. It'll be fine. This is also why I'm rereading them, to be quite honest with you. But book 2 massively expanded the world and also gave us a couple of side plots that I'm not sure how we're going to be able to wrap that up in the last book. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen. A little bit scared, but intrigued. And after that I will be done with another series. The second series is all in one book, and while this is not a new author to me, it is a new series that I will be starting, and that is the Seed to Harvest series by Octavia E. Butler. I have it in a bind-up. The bind-up is over 700 pages. It's 4 books to the series, so every book is like a roundish 250 pages, give or take, which is how we get to 750. Octavia E. Butler is an incredible author. I've read so many books by her. I've read Kindred, I've read Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talons, I've read Bloodchild, which is a short story of hers, and I've read something else. What have I read? What have I read? There was something else that I read. Point is, fantastic author. I'm intrigued to start this one. I think after that I still have the Lilith Brute series, and I think that's it. I will have to check, though, because she did write quite a lot. With this particular series and the fact that it's a bind-up, there's a chance that I will just stop in the middle of the book because I finished one of the books or other within the series. Again, with both of these series, I'm not necessarily telling myself I have to finish everything in the month of February, but I want to make progress in both, and I want to see how far I can get with them, and then just continue them onward if I get stuck or something, or if it's just too much with all of the work I have to do for university, whatever. Point is, progress doesn't need to be finished, right? But I am also excited for this one because, once again, I love Octavia E. Butler. I think she's an incredible author, and it is really sad that we will never get anything new by her. It always makes me so sad. We were supposed to get a 3rd book in the Parable of the Sower series. We will never have it. Anyway, next one, I have 2 more books on this pile. Next one is also by an author I've read before that I will continue to read, and that everyone should know at this point, and that is Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. I love these editions from Vintage. This is, I think, the 2nd I have in this edition, and I really want to get all of them. They have a really nice, like, papery feel to them. Stunning. I know very little about Toni Morrison's works, apart from the ones I have read, which is right now Beloved and Sula, I believe. I don't think I've read any of her shorter fiction too. So I've read those two novels, and I think that's it. So Song of Solomon would be my third one. I know very little about it, except I think next to Beloved, this is one of her most praised works. Which makes me really excited for this, because Beloved was fantastic. Had me on my knees. Also made me cry. Love that. We'll see if this one makes me cry too. It's set in 1930s America, that's pretty much all I know. With the title being Song of Solomon, I'm assuming there's going to be either Bible references or religious characters or the exploration of religion, potentially through a black lens, through the lens of black people being into religion or not, or being excluded from religion. I'm not sure. That's what the title is giving me. I'm excited to get to this. Also scared because I know that Toni Morrison really loves to give everyone emotions. And then you get to deal with them on your own. Thanks, ma'am. I'm very excited for this one. And last but certainly not least, we have another author who is new to me. We have She Would Be King by Wayetu Moore. This is set in Liberia, I believe, and specifically set either during a historically magically altered revolution of Liberia into becoming the country that it is. I do believe, I don't know if historically, if it's like historical fiction. I don't think it is. I think there might be historical aspects to it, though, is all I'm saying. I am incredibly excited to finally get to this. I've heard amazing things about this. I have had it on my list since last year, I think, because it was one of the first books that popped up when it was about, you know, like, books from about Liberia, and this one popped up. I am very intrigued, I'm very excited to see where this is gonna go. We are looking at about 350 pages, give or take, so it's not the longest either. I'm in love with this cover. I think I think this is so stunning. I love the orange tones that we have to this. It really gives off such a sunshine vibe, you know? Like, I think this is beautiful. But yes, I'll just read you the back for this one really quickly, because I think, you know, why not? In the West African village of Lai, red-haired Gebessa is cursed with immortality at birth. So there we have the magical aspect. On a plantation in Virginia, June Day struggles to hide his extraordinary strength from the brutal slave owners. High in the Blue Mountains of Jamaica, Norman Aragon discovers he can fade from sight at will. Cast out, forced to flee, sent away, they are drawn together in the tumult between settlers, Vai tribespeople, and slavers, becoming entwined with the story of a new nation, Liberia. But it is Gebessa, torn between two worlds, two loves, and two selves, who will ultimately unite them in this fierce and spectacular tale of magic and resistance, and I think that sounds just great. I'm really excited to get to this. I'm excited for all of these, which is a problem, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 books. One of which I definitely have to read, because otherwise I will not know if I can use it for anything. So, you know, there's a couple of books on the TBR here. I think I'm gonna be fine, even with everything that goes on with university. There's a couple more books that I could pick up. There's ebooks that I have, also by black authors, for example, because I really like to prioritize these in February. I read them all year round, but, you know, why not? When the month's already there, why not use that opportunity to spread some love and light onto these authors, you know? So we'll see how many of these I pick up. I'm hoping that I can get through a good amount of them. I'm really hoping that I can make progress with my series, because I really need to. I really need to get to some of these, okay? There's still so many on my TBR. But anyway, let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, or if you've heard of any of these books or authors, and if not, if some of these sound interesting to you. Let me know what you are planning to read in the month of February, if you also want to prioritize marginalized voices, or if you just go, you know what even is a TBR, which, relatable. And just in general, let me know in the comments down below what you're currently reading and how much fun you're having with it. As always, I hope that you have a nice reading experience yourself in the month of February, and that you will continue having a nice reading experience, and I will see you soon.